very happy with the performance and result. Another good performance and result after a Champions League match. Last time around it was against New England, this time Austin, so I'm extremely happy with the way the guys performed in Vancouver and to turn it around in a couple days' time. To perform disciplinedly, to defend as a group, to defend in a smart manner, not give up much at all, even though we conceded some possession. We didn't concede any really chances in the first half. We did make an adjustment around the 31st minute, which then made things a little easier, and I think the game turned completely after that point. And yeah, we were in complete control, and towards the end, obviously then dominant, but the scoreboard helps, so scoring goals at the right moments also helps. But very happy with the guys. I think I would like also, obviously to point out Denis, who continued to score and continued to be dominant and is always a threat, which allows other players also to find better spots and moments. A couple players who came on tonight who hadn't played a whole lot lately, Sergi Palencia with a fantastic performance, like he had been a starter for 5 years at LAFC, has learned our system. Can we close that door, please? It was coming, thank you. It's coming very well in our system. Extremely intelligent player, just hasn't missed a beat. Daniel Maldonado came on tonight and played very well next to Giorgio. There aren't too many that are better to pair up than Giorgio, but Daniel was excellent, didn't make a mistake tonight, was aggressive with his defending forward, won all of his aerial battles, so I'm very happy to get him a game and to see that performance as well. And lastly, Eric Duenas, our academy product, who came on in a very good manner. Tried to get him a goal, but just wasn't his night, but I'm sure there'll be many more in his career. And it's wonderful to see a few academy players come through and get their first minutes and meaningful minutes, and not only get minutes, but perform very well at a high level. Thank you.
Hi, Steve. Have you kind of had any conversations with Denny about, going back to pre-season, just on how to kind of get into those kind of goal-scoring positions, attack those kind of spaces, be that kind of number 9 or at least goal scorer that you need, and perhaps he wasn't last season?
He was getting in the same spaces last year that he is this year. I think maybe it's just a little more frequent now than it was last season. You have to understand, at the end of last season, games are a little tighter. It's playoffs, and teams don't give up as much. But certainly he is obviously confident. He's scoring some great goals. Preparing players in preseason gives you also more time and more looks and patterns and not so much patterns, but habits and behaviors in certain portions of the field. And Denis profited from that in this preseason, but also the others, and trying to find him in better spots. So, yeah, time with a group definitely helps, but I don't think there's a whole lot of coaching going on with a player of Denis' quality. The guy just scores, and he's a threat on the dribble. He's a threat off of crosses. If we could teach him how to set up goals more often and a little better, then he's hands down the best player in the league. But there is still room to improve, and that's the scary thing.
Steve, you talked about the adjustment at the half-hour mark. I noticed you talking to your players after Druisi went down. Can you elaborate on what that was and how that impacted the game?
Sure, it's a simple shift in midfield. Just put 2 6s and 1 10 instead of our classic 3, flat 3 with a 6 and 2 8s. So just a small adjustment to help get a little more pressure on the ball and to break up their little box in midfield that they were building, and quite successfully. So yeah, we conceded a little bit in possession, but I didn't feel they were a threat. But certainly conceding possession over 90 minutes like that is not an option. And so we had to make a change, and we did. And after that, it was coast was clear, so to speak.
Hi, Steve. Congratulations on the win. When we look at the best teams in the world, like in Europe, that are performing at the absolute top level, what has always separated them, at least to me, is the consistency, that they're able to win and produce results week in and week out, even if they're not necessarily performing at the best level. Something we haven't really seen in MLS, I don't think, especially in multiple competitions, competing in MLS and CCL and being able to produce results over and over again. Seems like LAFC has finally been able to crack that mold. Has that been a focus for you? Is that something you think about? And maybe how has that been able to be accomplished?
It's certainly not something I think about. I think our approach is quite simple. We try to feel the team to win pretty much every game we can, without asking too much of the guys physically. So we pay very close attention to the loading and the intensity of games and the amount of meters they're running, and the intensity of the meters they're running, in order to put ourselves in a position to win games. On top of that, sure, there are some things you have to pay attention to, making sure that the players understand what's coming their way, having the proper match plan, giving the players solutions for each opponent. And that becomes tricky because you have a lot of games in a short amount of time. And so you have to basically learn an opponent's system in a day or two, the solutions as well. And so your work in the training field has to be quite effective because you don't get a whole lot of time with the players in these weeks. And compliments to the coaching staff. They do a great job of preparing the group and using our little time on the field in a very effective manner. So the players do have solutions and understand what's coming their way and can put out any fires that could be there from the opponents. So, look, for me, it's I don't know if we've solved anything. We're 6 games into the season and 2 rounds of the Champions League, but I'd love to say or answer the same question at the end of the season. Also with a positive answer, but I think it's very early to come to any conclusions, but we're certainly happy with the way we started the season.
Steve, I was going to ask you a little bit more on Daniel Maldonado. He's a player that's highly regarded in his country, still a young player. How has he been integrated into the system, and games like this, playing alongside someone like Chiellini, just help him keep on growing?
Yeah, a young center back. Center backs are usually better their later 20s, and he's still in his early 20s, so certainly a very talented player. You saw all that tonight. Eager to learn, too, and just a very easy personality along with a great guy. And integrating players into this team is quite simple, and Daniil has found his little niche as well. Maybe a little bit unfortunate for him, there's 3 pretty talented center backs with him, so he will get his minutes this year, and I'm very, very happy for him that he stepped on without a whole lot of minutes prior to this game tonight and did unbelievably well. So it's, he's got a bright future.
Hey, Steve, over here. I wanted to ask you about, after Colorado, you talked a little bit about wanting your team to be more connected, combine more, and we saw a really conscious effort of that against Vancouver. In this match, you definitely were able to connect passes and some things, but there were times where you were, as you say, there's different ways you can deal with the press, and a lot of times you have to go over it. They just seemed a step ahead of Austin in their ability to go over, and it came off a lot better. Was that something that was spoken about ahead of time, or was that one of the solutions that your team found on the day?
No, that was clearly part of our match plan. I think the last game against Austin here, the Western Conference Final, was very similar. Austin is defensively very compact. They do like to step up and try to press, but they are vulnerable indeed. And we saw that on tape already this season. And as much as we'd want to play and control the game and possess the ball, look, there's a quicker way to goal sometimes, and we have the players for that, and the players understand how to do that. And I thought we took advantage of that again tonight, yeah. So that was part of our match plan.
Steve, you just finished a run of 5 games in 15 days. Now you're on 5 games in 16 days, but only 5 players, outfield players, played the full 90 today. Can you talk about how important it is to be able to rotate the roster, in addition to the contributions that you got, just to be able to get guys on and off as much as you can during this run?
Yeah, it's more than just rotating guys in games. It's the work that goes on off the field, the medical staff, the performance staff, keeping close tabs on guys. And lastly, the most important component is players being professional and treating their bodies in the right manner. And And on top of that, it's the competitiveness and hunger to want more. I think we would all forgive every single player in that locker room if they just did a little less. But that's not what this team is, and that's not how they think. And I love every minute of coaching them because they want to win. They want to win every silly game in training, and obviously every competitive match we play. So they will do their part. They will recover, and we will field a fresh, competitive, and hungry team Tuesday night.